whose task is whose. Mary does not say to the Holy Father or to anyone else, if you convert Russia, I will bring peace. She says, if you consecrate Russia, Russia will be converted. It leaves it to her to solve the question of what kind of conversion they're supposed to have. Does it mean they all become Catholics? We should certainly pray for that, but that might not be the, the entirety or the gist of her plan. Does it mean they'll convert from hedonistic lifestyles to holy lifestyles? Presumably, but it might be more than that. Does it mean greater piety and fidelity to the teachings of Christ within all Christians? That could be part of it. But wherever she leads, if a dramatic turnaround in the religious and moral life of the people and government of Russia follows quickly on the Pope's consecration, that will give cues needed both by Catholics and Orthodox about the direction in which the Holy Spirit is trying to lead them. And for that reason, I think that certainly even within the Orthodox Church, they're devoted to Mary. If they really believed that a certain course was what God and His Holy Mother desired, it would probably pull them in that direction. And we certainly know as Catholics that that's our desire as we're guided by the Holy Spirit. And so for that reason, there's no real reason why the Orthodox should be afraid of the consecration of Russia. Either it'll mean nothing and do nothing and have no effect on them whatsoever, or it will have an effect of a great blessing from the Mother of God. So I think in a certain way, I think that while that's the reason most often given today, I suspect it may be a red herring. I think it's real. I think it's important to elicit a response from them so we can deal with it, either substantively if it's an impediment, or put it behind us if it's a red herring impediment, but it must be dealt with. But then I think we ought to take a look at what are some of the other issues that might be impediments to the Vatican wanting to proceed with the consecration of Russia. Some of these are unpleasant things to contemplate, and others of them are easy things to fix. Now, I mentioned, the fear that Mary isn't going to deliver. That's an easy thing to fix. I don't think that's really the reason that's holding it back. Another fear that was something that Cardinal Stickler mentioned, and it could be a real concern on the part of the popes, is that they can't do it right even if they try, because Mary requires the participation of all the bishops, and all the bishops might not be willing to do it. And a number of different solutions to that potential problem have been suggested, such as the Holy Father putting out an announcement that any bishop who didn't participate has putatively turned in his resignation, and it's been accepted. But however, that's a technical question. That could be resolved if there was a will to resolve it. But it's potentially real. Certainly, the last thing that the Holy Father would want to do is to go through another exercise like those in the past that have had nice ceremonies but didn't achieve the results intended. Okay, another potential concern is the possibility that the Soviet threat might not be as dead as people think. As I mentioned, during the Soviet era, this was probably, we don't know for sure, but probably the biggest impediment toward the Church acting in a forthright manner on anything to do with Russia. But I'm sorry, my eyes are giving out here. Fatima's prophetic description of Russia's destructive world in the 20th century history is something that we believe as part of the Fatima apparition, but it certainly would be something that the Russian government at that time and perhaps now would take some offense with. But all the prudential reasons that applied during the Soviet era would still be applicable if experts within the Vatican believe that the potential for retaliation from that quarter still exists. A small but intellectually respectable minority in world opinion does advocate a need to be wary of a sleeping Soviet tiger. Some critics, including former KGB agent Anatoly Golitsyn, go so far as to allege that the entire drama of change in the Soviet Union in 1989 was a choreographed deception designed to lull the West into complacency. While every indication suggests that the Vatican policymakers believe that the collapse of the Soviet Union really happened, if indeed there's still threats from that quarter, they would have to be taken seriously.